who oppose all publicly sanctioned forms of violence, including abortion, war, the death penalty, euthanasia, poverty, and racism. And also, we are partnering with the Susan B. Anthony Birthplace Museum, which is based in Adams, Massachusetts, and we have some really great internship opportunities. So I have a few pamphlets up here with me, and you can also go to our table out front, and you can pick up some more information or sign up for an email about that. And so I've been so excited to be at this conference because I love meeting different individuals and organizations that share my passion to empower women to choose life. And so I'm really excited to introduce this workshop on helping moms be heroes. So please help me welcome Jorel Godsey from Heartbeat International. You're welcome. Dawn Baker from Bethany Christian Services. Liz McNick from Clarion University's Pregnant on Campus Initiative. And Michelle Hendrickson from Students for Life. Thank you. I paid them to do the big woohoo. Thanks, guys, for coming through. $5. All right, so one of my favorite things about Students for Life is our Pregnant on Campus initiative. Raise your hands if you've heard about that, you know what I'm talking about. I was a regional coordinator, am a regional coordinator. I've done this for a couple years now, and it's just mind-blowing to see the effect that we can have on the exact demographic who we're talking about. And it really shatters the myth that pro-choice people like to give to us that we're just pro-birth, right? That after the baby's born that we're not involved. And we're just, again, shattering that every single day on campus, showing that we are helping these young moms, these student moms, through their pregnancy and beyond, and we are helping parenting students. It's a beautiful thing that we're seeing nationwide. Student groups are creating support groups for each other. They're helping build their campuses to be better support groups for students as well, and create better support systems, whether that's differentiated parking for the woman while she's pregnant, opening daycares on campus, opening lactation rooms, or installing diaper decks. And as a working mom on college campuses and bringing my kids around with me, I absolutely love that. Like, now I can find diaper decks on college campuses. It's an amazing thing. So we're just going to hear from each of these panelists a little bit more about what it is that they do and how you can help them and be part of the bigger picture here, and then we've got some questions for them. So the first person that is going to share with us is Jorel Godsey from Heartbeat International, and he'll come on down and I will switch spots with you.
Thank you, Michelle. It's great to be here. It's always good to be amongst people who love life. So I've got a couple of things. I've got a PowerPoint, the myths about pregnancy help centers. Heartbeat International works with, we're the largest network affiliation group of pregnancy help centers in the world. We have over 2,100 locations affiliated with us. About 1,350 of those are in the US, and about the rest of them, about 800 or so, are in 50 other countries. So we're always getting an opportunity to see this work and champion life in various places. And our mission is really to advance pregnancy help worldwide. And so it's an opportunity, it's a great opportunity to share with you some of the things that we find out that are myths about pregnancy help centers. So if I could introduce you to the first one. The first myth is that pregnancy help centers don't exist. How many of you know of one that's near you? That's awesome. There was some research done not too long ago by the Charlotte Lozier Institute that basically said, basically surveyed the general public, and they found that when they introduced the idea of a pregnancy help center, the research showed that this is a really good idea. Someone ought to create those. Well, we have them already. We have about 2,600 just in the US. For context, okay, is there a PowerPoint somewhere? Because I've got all this on PowerPoint. But excellent. No problem. Man of the hour. No pressure. We're just all watching you. Thank you, man. Yes. There we go. All right. Thank you, thank you. No pressure. So myth number one, they don't exist. Too often, pregnancy help centers, they define themselves as the community's best kept secret, which is not the way we want to be. Now, they're getting smarter about marketing, and that's where you can come in. I'll tell you that in a minute. There are more than 2,600 pregnancy help center locations across the U.S. I mentioned that already. So you can see they're dotted. They actually follow where the population is. Big map all the way across the United States, and then even beyond that. There are as many pregnancy help locations as there are TJ Maxx or The Gap. There are more locations than actually Home Depot, Target, and Chick-fil-A. Gotta love some Chick-fil-A. And more than JCPenney's and Kohl's combined. So 2,000 or so can be found through the optionline.org locator. If I leave nothing else with you today, I want you to remember the words option line. You guys saw it earlier, yes? No? All right, option line. Everybody say after me, option line. Thank you. Optionline.org, because every day we get about 750 calls, emails, chats, texts about where can I find help for my pregnancy. So that's a great resource for all of you. Optionline.org. Heartbeat International runs a 24/7, 365 call center that's operated out of Columbus, Ohio, where we are, and we answer more than 250,000 of those contacts every year. So optionline.org is our locator. You can go online and actually find it yourself, or have somebody call in and call us, and we can connect them. If they're looking for something specific, like ultrasound or housing, we can make that connection. Or you can check with our worldwide directory as well. So the second myth is that pregnancy help centers are church-based and too religious. Can you be too religious? I think the answer is yes, at least in this area. So actually, the truth is that they're faith-based, which to me means that they're faith-motivated, and they're usually faith community funded. Normally, the people that actually help women get that help are funded by those in the community who are people of faith. So they may seem like they're church-based, but they're often not church-based. They're greatly appreciative of the support that they get from churches. Many of you have been involved with that, I'm sure. They're non-judgmental in approach. Their desire is to facilitate a life-affirming decision, which is, of course, parent or adopt. They're not really there to pass judgment, but they do want to help those that are facing challenging situations. And they are not run by the church lady. In case you haven't seen that. I know that goes back like 100 years, but it's still out there. So, myth number 3 is that one size fits all. Pregnancy help centers come in all different sizes and shapes, different budgets, different number of staff. They have a variety of things. Almost all of them operate on small budgets or nearly all volunteer staff. Many are positioned to help after the baby is born. Some have programs. Michelle was referencing that. Some have programs that will help walk with moms through the baby being a year old, maybe even 2 years, maybe even longer. Some have maternity homes that are connected to them, help them carry the child to term, and then even beyond that. So they come in all sizes and shapes. Often they have limited medical services like ultrasound. And a growing number actually have STI, STD testing and treatment. It's one of the fastest growing points of service that they have. And some are specifically evangelical, others are specifically Catholic, but the vast majority are a mix of the two, or a mix across the community of faith. And locations vary from standalone buildings to medical offices and now to mobile units. How many of you have seen a mobile unit that's been floating around? Yeah, Storks? Yeah, there we go. Say the Storks, ICU Mobile. Some people have converted ambulances. I'm not really sure that looks particularly appealing, but hey, it gets around, gets awesome. So we're happy that they come in all sizes and shapes. The other thing is that pregnancy help centers are only interested in babies. Michelle mentioned this before. Now, to be clear, babies produces the most successful story of really the powerful work that happens when life-affirming people get involved with those that are facing a life and death decision. There's no question. That's a powerful outcome, but that's not how it's done. That's not necessarily always the focus. So even though you hear a lot about babies being saved and numbers being counted, it's not really the reality of what the services are. Because the services themselves are oriented toward the woman. And you may hear a lot about babies saved, and we celebrate when babies are saved. There's an excitement about that because they're really cute. I believe that God designed it that way very intentionally, because if they weren't that cute, they may not survive to adulthood. No, really. If they weren't that cute, I mean, all the stuff, all the mess that they produce, but they are cute, and I'm grateful for that. So they're powerful stories, but they really, all they do is they tell the outcome of great services that are provided in a loving, compassionate, non-judgmental way to women. Because we believe that an informed decision is the best decision. And by the way, no matter how many times we count numbers of babies saved, there's this truth that I want you to remember. None of us in the pregnancy help centers or in the political activism or any of those other environments, none of us have actually saved any babies. We can see the numbers, but we've not saved any babies. All we do is empower that woman to save that baby. And that's why all of the services are oriented towards women. Now, the men we can serve as well, and I could talk to you about that more, but I only have so much time, and this is not about helping dads be heroes, about helping moms be heroes. So, one of the myths, got two more. The myth is pregnancy help centers are not licensed for medical services. This, by the way, is a false allegation by abortion proponents. And I want you to catch this, because they'll make this statement. For instance, someone will say, in the state I'm in Ohio, they'll say, this is not a licensed medical facility. And actually, that's true. It's not a licensed medical facility? No. That's horrible. You know why? Because Ohio doesn't require the facilities to be licensed. There's no license to be had. We couldn't go to the state and say, can I have a license for my facility? They would look at us like we're crazy. But the reality is that they actually license the medical people, the doctors. There's only a few clinics a few states that require licensing. Medical personnel, the nurses, the sonographers, and the doctors, they're the ones that are licensed. I guess my time, oh, there we go. Medical services are conducted under a physician's oversight. And so there are licenses involved, quality medical people that are reaching out, helping young people, helping moms be heroes. So last one, pregnancy help centers don't need students. Not true. They need volunteers to help in all types of areas. Often need help with technology, marketing, or market research. Now, just to be sure, many of the people that are actually operating pregnancy help centers were born before the desktop computer. Wait, get that? They were born before now some of you were born before the iPhone. Think about that. Think about that. You're going to tell your kids one day, oh, I was born before the iPhone. Okay. Pregnancy help volunteer training is excellent for any type of crisis counseling, not just pregnancy. So I encourage you, jump in, get involved, get trained. And it's not as obvious as political activism, but consistently effective in making a difference in helping moms to be heroes. And I love this quote here, never worry about numbers, help one person at a time, and always start with the person nearest you. Thank you, guys.
Good afternoon. I'm Dawn Baker, and I am from Bethany Christian Services, and we are an agency that helps women who are in an unplanned pregnancy understand what their life-affirming options may be. My youngest birth mom that I ever worked with was 11 years old, and my oldest was 49, and I've had everything in between, from middle school, high school, college women, women that are incarcerated, prostitutes, drug addicts, women who have been trafficked. They come from every single walk of life, from all socioeconomic backgrounds, and from all different educations, and from all different ethnicities. It is a joy and a pleasure for me to be able to walk that journey with them. Just this afternoon, while I was sitting out at the table, I got a text message from our intake person who said, we have a baby at a hospital in inner city Detroit. We need a pregnancy counselor to come. A woman who was born in 1991. How many of you are born in 1991 that are in this room? I see a few of you. Okay. So she walked into a hospital, had a baby this morning, and said, I can't parent this child. I need someone to come alongside of me and help me to make a thoughtful, well laid out plan for my child. That looks really different than it used to look. It used to be secretive and quiet, and birth moms would place their babies and they'd never know what was happening with them from that point on. Now we do open adoptions where she can choose the family. She can have a relationship with them. She can get pictures and letters and updates about how her child is doing and really play an active role in her child's life if that's what she would like to do. I'm going to pause here and we're going to show you a video of two women, young women, who got pregnant and weren't planning on that, and then made an adoption plan for their child. And they're going to tell you a little bit about what that looks like for them and what an open adoption has meant to them.
My first thought when I learned I was expecting Troop was, oh my gosh, there goes my senior cross-country season. And then I was like, oh God, what is Mom gonna think? I never thought I was gonna have a baby in high school or anything like that, so it never popped into my mind whether or not I would choose adoption.
Some of the barriers I hear from expectant parents making an adoption plan is not wanting to feel like they didn't really love their child from the beginning, not wanting people to point the blame at them and think that they were making an irresponsible decision and they've just thrown their child away, when in reality it's just the opposite. Making an adoption plan is selfless, and it's probably one of the biggest decisions our young women will make.
When I learned about adoption, I felt better because I knew more information. I could choose. I knew what to do. My Bethany worker provided me with a lot of support, and she was always there when I needed her. If I had a question, she'd answer it.
I think what makes Bethany special is the fact that all of our services are free to expectant parents. We offer counseling services and that we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
When I was 19 at the time, adoption was the best option for me, absolutely. I know for a fact that I wouldn't have been able to give Kinsley the opportunities that Mark and Sarah were able to. Everything surprised me about adoption. It really did. It can be a miraculous, amazing thing. You can't expect it until you're in it or a part of it. It's pretty incredible.
One of the biggest barriers that we hear from expectant parents considering adoption, they come to adoption with the thought that it's still like it was 20 or 30 years ago, that you go to a hospital, you have a baby, you never know what happened to the baby. And they think, I just couldn't do that. And so the way that we address that is through a lot of education, teaching them what open adoption is and how different adoption is now, and showing them that you have a lot of choices in this.
It takes a lot of courage to make that phone call, to send that text message to say, I'm pregnant and I need some help. You can expect for a pregnancy counselor to walk alongside you and to be available to you 24/7. This entire adoption journey is driven by you. You make the choice of whether it moves forward or it stops, or however you want to see it is guided by you as the expectant mom.
For an expecting parent, it's a heavy, heavy choice, and it's a hard choice, but it is so worth it when you see what you can do for a child when you're not ready. It is an amazing option.
As she mentioned, adoption is a very, oh yeah, give them a hand. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm glad that you're applauding, because birth moms are my heroes. They truly are. Every single one of them has this selfless thing within them that gives them the ability to, if you will, catch and release, and to hold loosely in their hand that child that they have given life to. And the reason that they're my heroes is that truly they are the only one that can make the choice to actually bring that child to delivery. And then the choice is theirs of what happens from that point on. And so when they make the very difficult, very grief ridden choice to choose first life for their child and then adoption for their child. We want to be there to champion them and to encourage them and to help them with the legal process and to help them to find a family that's perfect for them. They get to choose the family that they think will be right for their child. And we don't use the language that she gave her baby up for adoption or put her baby up for adoption. That's old school language that came from the orphan train days where children were put up on a platform and people came and chose them. It's very disempowering. So you as that next generation can use appropriate language and talk about her making a life plan or an adoption plan for her child. And when she makes that plan, she very carefully thinks about, who will the family of my child be? What am I looking for in terms of relationship ongoingly with them? And what kind of interaction will I have with my child throughout their life? There are women that decide to have limited information, but if they want to have an open adoption, they can do that. And as pregnancy counselors, we walk that journey with them. We come alongside of them right where they are. If they call us when they're 3.5 weeks pregnant and say, I messed up, I think I might be pregnant, what should I do? We're there to listen and to hear and to encourage and to get them connected with community resources. And if they call us and they're 6 months pregnant, we work with them from that point. If they call us after they've delivered, we work with them from that point. So you as student leaders and those that are in this room, you have the ability to pass on this information. It's very valuable when you know someone who's pregnant and they say, I can't do this and I don't have a choice. Yes, they do. You can tell them about the life-affirming choice of adoption, and you can get them connected. There's a few ways that you can get them connected. We have a website, bethany.org. We have a 1-800 number, 1-800-BETHANY, and 24/7 they can talk to a counselor with no pressure, no obligation. We're just here to get them connected with resources if they decide to parent, and to help them through the adoption process if they choose that for their child. And so we want you to know that information so that you can pass it on. We're both a national and an international organization, and so you can get plugged in wherever you are. It is just a privilege for me to get to speak to the next generation. I was with you all in 2013. And some of you, I've been asked to give you kind of an update since that time. Back in 2009, MTV approached our adoption agency and said, do you have a 16-year-old that's pregnant that might be willing to tell their story? We're doing a new reality show, and it was called 16 and Pregnant. Maybe some of you have heard of it. The next part of that story is that rolled into another series called Teen Mom, and now Teen Mom OG. And I was the pregnancy counselor that worked with Caitlin and Tyler. They have been on that reality show. They placed their baby for adoption. Her name is Carly. They made an open adoption plan, and they traveled across the country with me speaking at universities, and they came to this conference in 2013 with me. Since that time, they've gotten married, and now they have a child who's 2 years old that they're parenting, and they still have and maintain that open adoption relationship with Carly, who's going to be 8 this year. It's hard to believe, but she is. And they are the story that many people in your generation have seen and know about. And they made a very difficult adoption decision for their child when they were 16 years old. Caitlin went on to graduate from high school. She's the first woman in her family to graduate from high school. They own their own home that they paid cash for. Neither of them have ever had a family home to call their own until they were able to do this. And these are things that they wouldn't have been able to do if they'd been parenting a child at 16. In fact, they say they wouldn't still be together. So I texted Caitlin when I was on my way here this morning, and I told her where I was coming, and she said, I wish that we could be there with you, and please greet everyone for us and let them know that they are part of the pro-life generation, and they are standing for life just like you are. Thanks. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz. It's crazy to be standing up here and talking after some incredible people because I'm a college student. I'm a college student just like you guys. I mean, the baby bump is different, but I am a pregnant student. I'm also a parenting student. I have a 2-year-old girl, Elena, and I'm 20, so you can do the math. I got pregnant my senior year of high school. So today I want to talk to you about the transformation process that I went through as a young mom. And I also want to talk to you about the transformation that my university has gone through over the past 2 years to be more supportive for student parents like me. So, thank you. So, I was 17 when I was staring at a positive pregnancy test. And that was one of the scariest moments of my life, maybe the scariest moment. It's really hard to be empathetic with young moms. I was just like you. It's actually the day before the March for Life when I found out I was preparing for the March for Life. And 3 weeks prior, I don't tell people this a lot, but 3 weeks prior to finding out I was pregnant, I took Plan B. And that, I want to tell you that. And I want to be honest with you because that is how life-changing it can feel. I was pro-life. I never missed a March for Life since the day I was born. I tried to advocate for the pro-life stance at my school, and I was a different person. I stared at that positive pregnancy test because I was the lucky 5% that Plan B did not work for. But I was still so scared. I was going to a tiny Catholic school. There were 13 in my graduating class. I had just been asked to speak at graduation because I was valedictorian. And I thought, how in the world am I going to get past this? I thought my life was completely over. And so for a few days, I couldn't tell nearly anyone. I didn't tell any adults. And I found myself in the office of my guidance counselor, sobbing, obviously. And I told her, and I looked up at her, and she instantly became one of my greatest heroes because she said, just like this face, "Congratulations, you're gonna be a great mom." And I was honestly speechless for a very long time because I thought, how, when everything in society and mainstream media is telling us to not believe in young moms, you know? I'm a 17-year-old goofball with no intention of having a kid, and this woman is telling me that I'm capable, that this is a good thing. She said congratulations to me, you know, just like any other person that would tell her they're pregnant. She said congratulations to me. And I was just taken aback, honestly. Because of that instant reply of encouragement and support, I, picked myself up and I said, okay, let's actually start making a plan. This maybe doesn't mean that I don't have to go to college. Maybe this means that I can still have my career. This doesn't mean that my life is over. So I had the courage to continue high school. And it was surprising to me that her response actually wasn't unique. Everyone in my high school was incredibly supportive. I had teachers come up to me with tears in their eyes and grab me by the hands and say, "Thank you so much for keeping your baby. You are so courageous." I had a student tell me, "I think if I could choose my mom, I would choose you." Right? Which made me laugh at the time, but I look back and I'm like, that's a really big honor, Someone would choose me as their mom. It was genuine, it seemed. So I heard things like that every day, though. People were so generous with me and so supportive. And they did not once think that I could not speak at graduation, even though I was nearly this pregnant. They did not once think that I wasn't going to go to school. I wasn't going to continue my education. They didn't once think that I was any less than they were. And that made me realize that I'm not less than they were, that I'm just as strong as I was before I looked at that positive pregnancy test. I was just as strong, maybe even stronger. Because of all of that support, I got through my pregnancy, got to graduate, and I started my first year of college online. And in September 2014, I had my beautiful daughter, Elena. She changed my life. It probably sounds cheesy, and I know you guys hear a lot of happy baby stories, but I learned so much about myself because of her. I think that she's stronger, and she was stronger than I could ever be. She's brilliant. She's loving. I look at her and I realize that I'm her mom, and that's more of an honor than I can even explain. This beautiful little girl, and I get to be her mom. She's given me more strength and more courage and more perseverance and more dreams for my future than ever. And I look back on that day that I found out I was pregnant. I look back on that day that I took Plan B, and I think, what was I thinking? You know? But more than anything, I just want to hug that little girl. I just want to tell her, it's okay. You are capable, you are strong. And this might change your life, but chances are it's going to change your life for the better. So, I continued my education, thank God. And when I arrived at my university for my second year with my daughter, I experienced a whole nother beginning of a transformation process. The school was completely unsupportive, shockingly so, very unsupportive. I was ostracized as a single mom, as a student, parent, as a young mom. My major advisor told me to drop out of college multiple times because the time commitment wasn't fair to my daughter. I had a friend's professor say that this was a baby-free campus, which I don't even know what that means. Honestly, I'm like, that's just not true. You can bring your kid. Students, when I would tell students, oh, I have a daughter, they would stare at me in like shock and disgust, like, oh, well, does your mom raise her? Which, you know, as a mother, I thought, what's wrong with me raising her? You know, I do a good job. And so there was just this whole atmosphere of lack of understanding. Nobody really understood that there were student parents out there and that they needed our support and that we needed to find resources for them. So for a while, I kind of didn't know what to do. I wanted to change this university. I'm sure a lot of you guys are at your universities thinking, how am I going to affect any change here, especially when it's that dramatic and negative. But I went to my Students for Life group on campus, and I said, do you guys have any ideas? Because this is just terrible. I'm scared for the women who are going to get pregnant here and have to get a response like those. And they did. They had started a club called the Pregnancy and Parenting Resources Initiative in 2008. That club was meant to advocate for student parents. It was meant to do all the good things, but it didn't have a very good presence at the university because no one really cared enough to support it. Students for Life was trying, but we were a small club, and we couldn't really sustain it. So I became president of this club. I did not know what to do. I almost quit several times, which I'm sure, again, a lot of you have experienced that stress and that, you know, how am I actually going to affect change, right? But luckily, a student from Students for Life group on campus suggested that we host Sarah and Foster's Feminists for Life Pregnancy Resource Forum. Holy cow. That was amazing. Honestly, that was the thing that changed our university, and it changed it very quickly. We invited everyone from departments of the university that we thought might be in contact with a pregnant or parenting student. So we had housing, we had admissions, we had the health center, we had student life. Pretty much everyone we had invited. We also invited from Title IX, people from disability services. So we invited a bunch of people to this forum, and we tried our darndest to inspire them, you know. We sat there and said, this is why it's important, this is what they need. And months later, I saw a dramatic change in our university. We got a lactation room opened, which I am thankful for now because I will be needing. We got a website for pregnant and parenting students that was actually just utilized a few weeks ago. A student found out she was pregnant, ended up Googling, I'm pregnant at Clarion University, which is our university, and my email popped up, and she emailed me and said, I don't know what to do. So that was really incredible. I think the website was was helpful. What else? Oh, we started a babysitting share. So 2 moms now are switching kids back and forth while the other goes to class. So a lot happened. And not only did those structural things change at the university, not only did we add these resources at our university, but each person at the forum left inspired. They left with a passion that we had to help young parents because they knew how important it was. They knew how important it was in my life, and they knew that there were more students out there that needed that support. And so each of those faculty members, I think, it trickled down. It trickled down through their departments and through the students that they met that weren't pregnant. And now the general response I get when people find out I'm pregnant is, oh my gosh, how do you do it? That's incredible, wow. It's like shock and amazement and respect, huge respect, way more respect than before. I see parents that actually bring their kids on campus more often. That's nice to see, Parents who talk about their experiences as parents, Say, no, I have a 5-year-old kid. There was a girl in my class, and I had classes with her for 2 years, and I did not find out that she had a 3-year-old boy until this semester. And I was like, how? It's because we don't talk about it. It's because they feel unsupported. So if you can support them in a very public way and say, we're here for you, we're happy that you're still in school, they're going to stand up. And they're going to say, hey, I have a kid, and it's okay to be in school with kids. That's okay to do. And so those two examples, the transition in my life and the transition that my university went through, when you really analyze what made that change, how did you get from, the lowest of the low to the highest, the most support that you can get. And all of it happened from these little steps, these little tiny baby steps. My guidance counselor saying congratulations to me, that took 5 seconds, and it changed my life. The faculty advisors took a few hours out of their day, and they came to that forum, and they left with smiles on their faces. That didn't take very long, So what I want to stress to you guys are the little things. I'm reminded of a quote by Mother Teresa, find strength or be faithful in the small things because it is in them that your strength lies. You guys don't have to move mountains. Don't leave here and feel discouraged that, oh, my university, there's so much change to do. Or I met this, pregnant mom and she was so overwhelmed and I couldn't lift her up off her feet. That's okay, just do the little things because that's what made the biggest change in my life. Thank you guys for listening and thank you for supporting other parents like me.
Awesome. I'm going to keep these guys up here for a little bit because I've got some questions that I hear a lot, that students ask a lot, that I think they're going to really benefit from. Something that you guys all kind of talked about, a point that you all hit was that some of this is just that people don't know. Like, we all know, but how do we get everybody else to know? So what are some tangible things? How can these students advertise your organizations on campus among their friends? Like, what do you guys have available to them if you just want to kind of go down the line with you first?
Sure. I think if you have an iPhone or a phone that has notes on it, you can start right now making a note to yourself that you can pass on to someone. Either impregnant.org, 1-800-BETHANY, or Bethany.org. Those are numbers that you can, and web addresses that you can pass on that are manned 24/7 by someone who can answer those questions for them about how they can make a life-affirming choice for their child.
That's good. So if you're on your phone right now, we know you're not being rude. It's that you're writing that down. They got it. Okay. And then, so a little bit more like on campus, though, it was like, how do we get those resources out? What are creative ways that they can do on campus so that people can see that pregnancy resources are out there?
Tabling. I'm like a big fan of tabling, mainly because I'm a small university, so a table everybody walks by. So the library, we did Pregnant on Campus, Google Pregnant on Campus. They have a bunch of awesome tabling ideas. Last semester we did, I support pregnant parents and students. And so we asked every single organization that gets around fast, utilize social media and utilize everyone on campus when you do things like
Yeah, anytime your club does anything, there should also be pregnant on campus cards. And if you don't have them, you need to talk to your regional coordinator and order them. So any event could be a way to get pregnant on campus stuff just out to people. Any other ways that we can advocate?
Be ready to advocate for those that, like, it's not obvious. You knew someone, fellow student that had a 3-year-old child and you didn't know that for a good deal of time. Be ready to advocate. It's another way to advocate not just for the unborn, but for those that are unseen. And so sometimes because of the culture that is often on campus, it kind of tends to suppress that or hide that. So be on the lookout. So you can be an encouragement to those as well.
Excellent transition to my next question, as if you knew and we had already planned this. So what would you recommend as like a first step towards, let's say we have someone on campus who we know is pregnant, needs some help, or maybe is a parenting student. What would you recommend as a first step to reach out to that mom? What has been most effective for you?
I think being compassionate and not judgmental, and just being there to listen. Everybody wants someone to talk to, but not everyone has someone who will actually listen to them. So if you can listen, but then, as I mentioned before, take the next step to have the resources, either a pregnancy resource center in your area, or one of the other things that have been mentioned here, to be a resource for them, that you are the one that knows where they should turn to next. And out in the lobby there, Bethany has a table. We have cards that you can pick up, and they're really easy for you to keep with you. And it says the difference between making an adoption plan and parenting and making an adoption plan and an abortion. It really just bullet points, really easy for you to talking points to have.
I would say ask them what they need from you. I run out of ideas a lot on how to help parents on campus. And so once in a while we'll do a table and invite everyone know and say, hey, what are your ideas to help the campus? I've had parents ask about baby share. That's how we got baby share. I had 2 students ask about the lactation. That's how we got the lactation. So even if a pregnant student comes to you and says, I've chosen my baby, I don't really know what she has to school, say, okay, what do you want to do? And I'm going to help you do that.
Speak life. Be affirming. I really appreciate Liz sharing the word congratulations. Let that be the first thing that you speak of. Oftentimes we're taught to leave space for the decision that they're making. I wouldn't. This is an opportunity to intervene. Speak what you know to be true. Speak life.
Yeah, it seems to have been really effective for you hearing congratulations instead of, oh, what are we going to do about this? So, they just spoke it right to you that, yeah, this is exciting. Congratulations on being a mom. So more for Liz here for a minute. How was working with, I know you talked a little bit about it, but like working with your campus administration, I guess I heard a little bit about the transition, but how was that at first, like for the administration angle of it? Was it difficult at first? If so, how, like what was the language that they were using that maybe these guys are hearing that or facing similar difficulties and they don't realize like that, hey, the administration can do better here? So what did you see?
So when we first wanted to do the forum, we got a lot of pushback.
Okay.
They did not want to come to the forum. They didn't feel comfortable supporting the listings. The first thing that we did was go to the president of the university, and that was very, very helpful. So really before we invited any departments, we went straight to the president and we said, hey, this is our idea. We don't really have a pro-life agenda, honestly. We just want to help pregnant students. And it benefits the university because we don't want people dropping out, right? So we want to help pregnant and parenting students, and this is how we want to do it. We got her verbal and written support on it, and we went to the departments that way. That was really helpful because then the department chair, like the chair of the department heads, departments, I don't know. But the people we invited, the people from these departments didn't feel like they were alone, didn't feel like they were speaking up against the university. So because of that, we got all 13 analysts there ready to go.
So you did not give up. You're very diligent. Excellent. So if you are receiving any kind of pushback, let's say your story sounds a lot like that, or maybe you've got a new idea today and you're going to go home and you're going to do that on your campus. If you're receiving any kind of pushback, you need some moral support, you've all got regional coordinators. If you didn't realize it yet, you have a regional coordinator like me, wherever you are in the country. Please contact us and we will help you find creative ways to keep asking, to keep seeking those answers that you need from your administration at that level if you are receiving a hard time.
Yeah, and I also want to add, giving them something to care about is huge. At the forum, I was the first one to speak. I should have another student parent speak there too. And it kind of like pulled on the heartstrings a little, you know. I was like, I couldn't have come to this university if it wasn't for people supporting me. And so if you guys could get, even if it's just like a video, you know, somebody or something to say, this is why we're doing this. Because it is really inspirational. It is really moving to hear those stories.
Awesome. So last question for all of you, just kind of general overview of if you could give some advice, some last kind of tips, advice, anything to get their spirits motivated, get out there and change the world. What do you got for them?
Well, I mentioned before that birth moms are really my heroes because they make really tough, hard choices that are selfless. And I think you guys are heroes too, because you are standing up and you are standing up against the culture that very often is not in favor of the message that you're trying to bring. So I want to inspire you, I want to encourage you
to the lady in the middle.
You may think that no one's listening and no one's seeing what you're doing. You're wrong. People are paying attention even when you think they're not. And they're going to remember when they get in those crisis situations that you're a person that's a resource that they can turn to and that you are going to be a great encouragement for them. So go be heroes.
We're doing the mic dance. You guys don't have this on your schedule, but we're okay. Go for it. Yeah.
A few things. Choose the loving response to unexpected pregnancy. Because that's what we're about, right? We're trying to spread this atmosphere of love and life. It made the biggest difference for me, obviously. So don't be afraid to stand up and empower women. Empower is a word I use a lot of times. I'm so empowered. Empower women. Say, you can do this. Be loving. Be respectful. Be empowering. And thank you for being here. I think just by being here, you guys are choosing the loving response to unexpected pregnancy. I know this in all of your minds. And you all have the power to do it. I have no doubt. So be ready. Be ready for that moment where you just say congratulations.
Awesome. And I'm out. Perfect. You're that kid in class, got it. All right. So I do want to remind you guys what we have available for you. As Liz mentioned, the Pregnant on Campus website, if you are at the college level, you should each have a website. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you need to get yourself to the Pregnant on Campus resource table that's out there. So what we work with universities on is to get you your own personalized website. So www.pregnantoncampus.com/ and then your university. So Clarion has one. And we have individualized all the resources that are existing on your campus and some that the student group itself offers, and then contact information for support group people. And that was it. I didn't even know somebody found your website recently. That is awesome. That's why we do this, because those women who are in need and they have that crisis pregnancy, they're Googling, pregnant at this university, what do I do? That's what they're putting in, they're desperate, and then that can pop up before Planned Parenthood does. That's what we need at all of your universities. We need that internet resource with your name on it for them to go to. So please visit the Pregnant on Campus resource table that's out there. And we've got tangible things that you all can be ordering, and these are free. So Pregnant on Campus resource cards, we've got information about like the Truth of Plan B cards and all of these things that you can have at your table. We ship them to you for free. So please make sure that you connect with us about that. I've delayed as long as I can. Can we give a round of applause again for our wonderful panelists? Thank you guys, thank you guys. Awesome, so your next session starts at 3:45. Technically, we went a couple minutes early, but you need to use the bathroom and do some things. So look over your schedules there. Everything is kind of on track as usual. If you want to stay here, it's the Watch Your Mouth and Mind Your Manners, which sounds a lot of fun. And of course, we get to hang out with Kristen again. But there's also more topics in the high school track and the college track and even the inclusive campus movement tactics of inclusion. That was a long one. So we've got secular pro-life. I love them in that one. So kind of look that over, decide where you all want to go. Take your time because that session, again, does not start until 3:45. So don't get to that room too early. All right, thank you guys.